This is the one. This is the one that we've been waiting for. Fantastic Four First Steps is out, and I was lucky enough to go see it with none other than Galactus himself, Ralph Ineson, and his family and friends, because we go way back. So strap in for this one. You are not going to want to miss this, and there are absolutely spoilers ahead. You've been warned.
Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together. As a family.
Music score gets me every single time. Okay, so straight off the bat, I'm going to say this. You need to see this in IMAX, and Marvel are back. The Fantastic Four hasn't always been done right in previous entries, and the way that the MCU is right now, everyone's been a bit skeptical about this release. But unlike every other Marvel film recently, you don't have to know the full back catalogue and do your homework with all the series on Disney Plus and blah, 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 all of that stuff, right? Because let's be honest, it felt like actual homework at times, but this one stands alone from all the other entries as its own film, partly because it's set on Earth 828, so nowhere near our 626 universe that we know and love. And the way Matt Shakman, who also directed WandaVision, has set this in a retro-futuristic way in the 1960s sort of Jetsons feel is so refreshing for the MCU. It's visually beautiful. Okay, so the film centres around our four heroes: Reed Richards, or Mr. Fantastic, played by Pedro Pascal; Sue Storm, or the Invisible Woman, played by Vanessa Kirby; Ben Grimm, or The Thing, played by Eben Moss Backrack; and the little toe rag that is Johnny Storm, or the Human Torch, played by Joseph Quinn. Now, I'm going to say it off the bat, the casting is perfect for this one. We get thrown straight into the deep end where the Fantastic Four appearing on some type of talk show that kind of resembles like the Ed Sullivan Show back in the day, where Marvel cleverly retells how the four heroes got their powers, but without going into full details. You know what I mean, we've seen the other films before. And we then see them taking on Mole Man, played by Paul Walter Hauser, the Super Apes from the Red Ghost, and the Mad Thinker as well, who are all thwarted with ease. But we get some really cool shots in this opening montage, with Sue saving people from a 7-Up sign that fell from a building, Reed using his abilities of stretching and containing an explosion, Ben pulling a boat to shore, and Johnny helping out the fire department, taking in all the flames and heat of the buildings that are on fire, which we've actually never seen him do before, so that was actually really cool to watch. Sue and Reed find out that they're having a baby after 2 years of trying, and Ben picks up on this, and then Johnny is elated, and it all seems to be happy families at this point. Until Reed gets in his own head and looks at every possibility of what could go wrong, or if there's something wrong with the baby due to the cosmic forces and energy. Maybe a little bit overprotective there, buddy. Anyway, they're prepping for the baby, but as they do so, the night sky turns bright orange and we see the Silver Surfer Shalabal, played by Julia Garner, appear and says one of the coldest lines in MCU history. Take a look.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
Meaning, trouble's on the way. Reed traces her energy into deep space, seeing that her threats about worlds ending are actually true because it's handling to loads of different worlds, and they decide to suit up and follow her to confront her. Once they fall out of hyperspace and arrive at the intended planet where the energy signal's coming from, they arrive just in time to see it blow up. And they get pulled in via a tractor beam into this huge ship where the Silver Surfer says they'll meet Galactus. Now, I'm going to be as impartial as I can with this because Ralph has become a friend over the past few years, but he is the perfect casting for this role. Not only does he have the voice, but he's got the exact sinister and terrifying presence on screen that is necessary for a behemoth like Galactus. And honestly, as a fan, it's so nice to see Galactus finally done right and comic book accurate. I've said this before, but I've been a fan of Marvel for many years, way before the MCU, when I was collecting comics as a kid, and with my dad collecting them right back when they first started in the 50s and 60s. His passion for the characters then fell down to me, and Galactus was always one of his favourites, so it then became one of mine. Our heroes then try to reason with Galactus to save their world, and he scans them and notices that Sue's pregnant and says that he'll spare their world if they give up their son. But this scan sends Sue into labour and the baby is coming now. Now, a little backstory about Franklin Richards. He's the son of Reed and Sue in the comics and is one of the most powerful beings in all of Marvel history due to his cosmic energy powers, or the power cosmic as it's called in the comics. He can warp and rewrite realities without even breaking a sweat, and that is why Galactus wants to make the trade, because Franklin will be able to give him more than enough cosmic energy to be finally eternally full and rest. Obviously, they didn't go for this and they told him where to go, and they barely escaped with their lives, and they thought that they'd got away, but the Silver Surfer was hot on their heels and they escape using light speed, but she quickly catches up to him. So Reed decides it's a good idea, whilst his wife is in labour, to play around with a black hole and try and trap the Silver Surfer in it. Nice one, Reed. The plan works though, and Shalla is dragged into this black hole and the team escapes. And upon arriving back on Earth, the press are going absolutely nuts, and they ask Reed if they're safe, to which he replies he doesn't know and they weren't giving up their baby because the price was too high, which sets the entire world against the Fantastic Four. Now, they were loved by the whole planet, and this is a real shift for them. The next part of the film is them devising a plan and coming to the conclusion that they need to teleport Earth 828 somewhere else so that Galactus can't find it because he's hot on their heels. And randomly, Johnny learns Shalla language. It's a bit of a stretch, but why not? Anyway, this is all thwarted by the Silver Surfer, who destroys most of the teleportation bridges, and Johnny tries to reason with her in her language, but it's not enough. Galactus has arrived. They change tactics and use Franklin as bait to get Galactus to one of the remaining portal bridges, so the intended plan is to send him millions of light years away. But as we see in the next few scenes, the Fantastic Four are no match for him, and he easily brushes all of them aside and stretches Reed out like one of those gummy aliens we had as a kid. It was weird. Galactus realises that he's been duped and scans for Franklin, and he finds him in the Baxter building, takes hold of him, and seemingly that looks like it's game over for the little guy. But Sue uses all of her incredible powers to push Galactus towards this teleportation bridge. Reed saves his son, and Galactus is being pulled into the void, and it seems like game, set, match, right? Fantastic Four's won. Well, Galactus comes back through the portal and proves how strong and terrifying he really is. And Johnny goes to sacrifice himself, but is knocked out of the way by the Silver Surfer, who crashes into Galactus, and they both disappear into the void of space millions of miles away. Sue uses so much energy up that she dies, and everyone is distraught. But cue baby Franklin, who used the power cosmic, to bring her back to life, and they all turn into a happy family again. Now, there are two post-credit scenes with this. One of them was a fun little animated one about the Fantastic Four cartoon that we saw earlier. But the mid-credit scene is set 4 years later, with Sue reading a book to Franklin, who's grown up a little bit now. And she goes to get another book and hears a whoosh, and Franklin's missing from the chair. So Sue powers up and expects the worst. But who should be right next to Franklin than Dr. Bloody Doom? I got so excited at this scene that I literally let out a little yelp in the cinema, and everyone turned around and looked at me. But Doomsday is going to be epic. I can't wait for RDJ to come back, and I feel like he's going to do a class job with Dr. Doom. Back to the film though, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I really enjoyed Fantastic Four First Steps. It was a fresh take on the MCU and actually worked out really well. I did think it could have gone on a little bit longer, and I know that Marvel's really conscious about long run times and X, Y, and Z, but it just felt like there were certain parts that were really rushed and needed a little bit more TLC. I also want to say as well that every single actor in this was incredible. Despite people feeling Pedro Pascal fatigue and superhero fatigue, he was brilliant in his performance as Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby was incredible casting as Sue Storm. Eben Moss-Backrack was the Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm had a bit more gravitas to him this time, to be honest with you, rather than what we'd seen in previous entries, but he still had that cheeky little wink in his eye. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I think they could have utilised Galactus a lot more and gave him way more screen time because he was terrifying. And it could have gone on a little bit longer. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Did you love Fantastic Four First Steps as much as I did? And I'll see you next time.